I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. It's been a couple weeks, hope you're all well, hope you're politically refreshed. Go figure, when we have a week off, lots of things kick off at once. Don't worry, we're going to cover some of that as well because it is relevant. And Pcraft, thank you for saying clearly you mean nominee. No, I meant nominees because at the time there were two, now there's one. So nominees, because there were two. Thank you. Joining me to talk about some stuff, things, bits and bobs and doodahs, is Trups. Say hi, Trups.
I did it this time.
Yes, one. Nice. How are you?
I remember it only took me like 2 weeks. I'm all right.
2 weeks gave you plenty of time to remember to get one or to have one available.
That is correct. I'm all right.
Yeah?
Kind of a dreary. It started off as a okay day, but it's since gotten a bit dreary. But I do have a cat growing in the window right now, so it can't be that bad.
We've had horrendous weather, to be honest. Although to be honest, it hasn't really mattered for me because I've not been not necessarily unwell, just not well. I've had headaches all week and
I can tell because your videos have not had the.
I had to do that. I couldn't sit at the computer long enough, and I was like, I can't take time off.
I don't judge you for that. I just know what it means.
It annoyed me so much because I couldn't do it. The headaches weren't going, and I took so many Tylenol and ibuprofen, paracetamol, ibuprofen. I took so many, the prescribed amount, not like just I couldn't do it anymore. So I had to, and pins and needles like on my legs. I couldn't understand this.
Oh, that's bizarre.
It was a weird one. But we're okay enough now, so that's good. I'm glad it's only now and not next week. I've got a gig next Sunday. I don't really want, or Monday we're going to meet up with my friend Little Miss Anonymous. I don't want to have that being a problem then either.
Is that the Dragon Force show? No, you already saw them.
No, that was Gloryhammer I saw. Dragon Force is next Sunday with Amaranth and Infected Rain.
Nice.
Yeah, should be good.
I remember things sometimes. I can't remember shit that I do, but I can remember what you're doing, apparently.
I had to be reminded it was Dragon Force, and the only thing that reminded me was my pre-order of their new album that came out today has actually arrived today. And I had a pleasant surprise when I heard one of the songs. It was about Space Marines, and I was like, I am here for this.
Was that the song they put out like 2 days ago? Or yesterday?
No, that was Wildest Dream. No, the newest one's, the one I'm referring to, sounds a bit Full Metal Jacket. It's got a little military chant in the middle of it. No, it legit is about Primaris Space Marines, so I was like, that's cringy and hilarious, and I love it.
Nice.
Yeah. So, how's Trups been? How's LARP?
LARP was okay. It was raining, so that was where your fucking weather showed up at my door.
Well, it's been here ever since. Don't worry about that.
Yes. So I've had better events, but at least this one I didn't freeze to death.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't freeze to death. That's good.
There was an event like 2 years ago in March where it got down to 16 degrees, which is below freezing.
Yeah, that's not ideal for LARP.
No. Actually, at one point, somebody who was in my cabin put an extra cloak over me because one of the guys who was in the building had like this really thick, like double layer wool cloak.
Oh, really?
And while I was asleep, apparently the person thought I was going into shock.
Do you stay on location for LARP?
Oh yeah.
I've never done that.
Oh yeah, you sleep like you are there. It starts on Friday, and you're in game until Sunday.
I I never knew. We never did that here. Oh, when I come over, I'm going to have to do that. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, I'm bringing you. I am 100% bringing you.
If so much as one American asks me whether my accent's real or not, I am going to backhand them with a glove.
Oh, don't worry. You'll have plenty of people who you can judge for their fake accents.
It's when I hear one of them and I'm like, oh, your accent's better than mine. I might have to ask for you to stop appropriating. I feel under threat.
I can't think of anybody. Well, there are non-British accents that people use that are pretty good.
Oh, I don't care about those.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's dive into. Where should we start?
Oh God, that's let's go chronologically.
Okay.
So
we're doing Colorado.
One of the first things let's do Colorado.
Okay.
So first things first. As a quick recap, Trump was summarily removed by the Colorado Supreme Court from their primary ballot because he allegedly got involved with what's it called? Freaking what's the word? The insurrection. That was the word. Thank you.
Oh, the January 6th event. Yes.
Yes. He engaged in insurrection. Therefore, he could not obviously hold office because of legal arguments. The Supreme Court has since ruled that no, actually. And what's amazing about this decision in particular, was that though the Colorado Supreme Court said, no, we're going to strip him of these rights and privileges. The Supreme Court voted 9-0.
Okay, so that does surprise me.
Okay, 9-0, which means that the three liberal justices, which is Jackson.
Yeah.
Roberts, arguably. Roberts is a toss-up. Kagan, and I can't remember the other one. But as opposed to Kavanaugh, Alito, and what the fuck's the woman's name? I can't remember her name.
I don't know.
It is hard to track names. There's far too many people in politics. I don't know how people do this sometimes.
The Supreme Court fascinated me because I saw recently there was a thing somebody within it wanted a pay rise. It was the guy who constantly took donations, didn't he?
Clarence Brown?
Yeah, because he delved into him. He's been trying to push for a pay rise for Supreme Court justices. They make 20 times a year more than I make. Bitch.
Oh yeah, I mean, but they're god.
Not including anything else you get.
Government. So do you are. Thank you, Duck Dog. Thank God. I praise you.
I see. Hello, Duck Dog. Hello, everyone else. Sliggins, Mucky, Mussy, Musi, Mussy.
It is rough sometimes. Keeping track of all these things between random ass attorney generals Ken Paxton, Fonnie Willis,
we'll talk about Fanny later. Don't you worry.
Oh, I know. But AG's names, Supreme Court's, judges' names, council, people who get involved in Gamergate 2, a whole bunch of shit, dude.
Yes.
Oh my god, there is so much.
Just a quick thing. Matt Walsh inserting himself into this Gamergate discussion. Cringe. Carry on.
I know. True. I could literally do an entire 3 hours on this shit.
I could have had the time.
But I don't
we were there at the start. We were there at the start.
True. Anywho's, Amy Coney Barrett. Yes, thank you. That was the other one.
Ah.
The other one.
Coney Barrett. Yeah.
Oh, God. It is rough. Anyway. So yes, 9-0, and basically one of the arguments that Justice Kagan made in particular, which stuck out to a lot of people, was that why does one state get the right to determine who gets to be president. Because essentially, if you remove a presidential nominee from a ballot, then you are basically saying that the entire state of Colorado, in this case, can never vote in that person, because summarily it has been judged by the Supreme Court that they are, persona non grata, and just removed completely, which can never be the case. We would lose the fabric of what the point is. Now, their argument, which I think is the best argument, is that we don't have to necessarily, as people in the United States, they can decide their state elections. But when it comes to federal elections,
separation, you're
they
right.
may not do these things. So that was the argument, essentially, that Kagan laid down, that federally, we, these United States, you cannot summarily judge that Colorado says no to a federal candidate. And I think that's a very fair assessment. I think they did pretty good on that.
I agree. I'm sorry. I agree.
Now, some people in the Republicans' concurring opinions went a bit far. And when I say a bit far, I mean people complained that they went a bit far, basically saying that more, instead of being general with their things, they kind of zoned in on Trump's specific situation.
Right.
Which rubbed some people the wrong way, because it's like, well, come on now. That's not really what we need to be doing right now. We just need to take the win and run away with it. Please don't give them any more ammunition to keep fighting about this.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, I think that's basically how we should go. But the good news is that Colorado basically got BTFO'd, and that basically stops every other state who was going to lodge these opinions.
There was another state, wasn't there?
There were like 14.
Oh, yeah. Colorado's
like 14 of them wanted to do this.
Colorado is close to... It was a swing state for a while. And so they were just trying... It seemed like they were becoming a bit totalitarian in that respect of saying, no, we don't want you as a nominee, so you're not allowed.
Basically. That it tracks to be about where I saw this happening. So yeah, that's where we're currently looking right now on the does Trump get to be? It's one case down. It wasn't the original case, but it's one case down. Fuck. There's too many. There's too many to keep track of. There's too many things going on. And again, we've discussed this before, but all of this is simply them trying to prevent Donald Trump from, as far as the polls say right now, win in November. Of course, we're a long way away. However, tracking, he's doing pretty well.
Well, yes. Trump is, he's
Sure,
putting good... Sorry?
Sorry, I just saw a furious mouse clicking. Yeah, it's me.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely Trump's.
Trump.
I was leaning back in my chair, which is why you might have heard creaking, because I was listening intently, actually. I was a bit baffled that any state had the balls to do it, because it did feel unconstitutional from the offset to prevent somebody, especially when he hasn't been found guilty or he hasn't been convicted of anything. So you can't use that argument against him either. And since we now know there's a chance that will all get thrown out anyway because of Fanny.
Yeah-ish.
Well, it will if she doesn't recuse, I believe.
Well, okay, so that's new details that happened like an hour ago.
Oh, has she actually done it?
No, she doesn't have to.
Oh, right. I thought I had a thing that said she did have to.
Well, the judge basically left it up to her.
The judge ruled that Fulton County DA must step aside, or Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade must withdraw from the Trump case.
Wade is going to be the one who drops out. They've already been like, yes, that is what the news basically determines, but basically all of the punditry and the media has already been reporting that Nathan Wade will be stepping down, which means that is what the party has deemed appropriate, and therefore that is likely to be what happened.
This seems like an absolute nonsense.
Yes, okay. It is thrilling, if nothing else.
No offense, she should be the one to drop out.
I agree 100%, but alas, here we are.
Okay. So I guess that's another subject covered then.
I mean, I guess we could delve into it a little bit more if you'd like.
Well, we did last time we covered it. We went through some of the her on the stand using money inappropriately. Like, she's an idiot. She inappropriately used funds, and I don't understand how she's able to still be a credible use, or be of a credible use in this.
I mean, yes, I agree. Though I guess I would have to ask more specifically, like, what about?
Sorry?
Like, what specifically, besides, like, obviously her embezzling funds for her own personal gain?
Like, let's go. Any other person does that in any political field. Mm-hmm. No one thinks they're remotely appropriate, not just because of optics, because they have no integrity.
Okay, sure.
And it ties to their reputation. That's what I mean, because it's just that's always used in politics, and in politics it's about sound bites and optics. That's all it is. And in this, she is of no use.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I definitely would agree with that. Though, you know, I guess we'll have to see where that ends up, because I don't believe that she ever had, like, the best intentions anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Let's be honest here. Do you think anyone had any good intentions?
No, of course not. When you run your campaign on the idea that we're gonna get them, right?
Yeah.
And, like, that is your entire game plan.
Yeah.
You are full of shit.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very impressed at the willingness to keep doing this. Sure. But to be honest, I'm not impressed that you're willing to do this when you're not winning. Like, you are just wasting money and time.
True. Very true. And not only that, but as a part of, we're kind of skipping chronologically, but it's okay. Because of the situation with Bonnie Willis and what basically McAfee has done, not the guy who killed himself, but the judge in charge.
Right. Yes.
Basically, he's dropped some of the charges against Trump, which is very, very interesting.
A lot of them have been dropped, haven't they?
3 of them specifically. One of them included trying to, I forget the specific wording of the charge, but basically it was him trying to coerce the legislature, or in this case it was I think it was the Secretary of State,
right,
or the AG, Rasmussen.
Right.
I think it's, what is his name? Rasberger? One of the fucking thing.
Okay.
Very, very, very Jewish name.
I don't know what that means.
Where basically it was the phone call where he said, I want to find 11,000 votes.
Oh.
That charge from that phone call is what has been basically deemed irrelevant.
Honest, it should have been anyway.
Well, the argument was essentially that the charge and the evidence presented by the prosecution to the defense was insufficient to allow the defense to create as he said, an intelligent defense. Basically saying, if you're going to vaguely say that this phone call was coercion because and not expand on the because, then nobody can reasonably expect to be able to argue against the because even you don't expand upon it. So basically they said, you can bring it up later, but you're going to have to come up with something a little bit stronger and maybe a little bit more specific if you want to bring it up.
Right.
Which I think is fair.
That's fair. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this current case goes his way. That would then just get brought back and they'd be like, right, well, we got this. Good luck. Because they'll make up anything at this point.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
During election season, we know they're going to do it.
100%.
Okay. So, I guess on that note, what was her name? Nikki Haley.
Yes.
Nikki Haley has finally, she says she put up a good fight, and I'm sat back like, you couldn't even win when Trump wasn't on it. I
mean, how many did she actually win? Hold on, let's check.
She had she had a few points.
Besides, I think she had one more besides DC. I think it was Vermont.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I think Vermont was where?
Not New Hampshire.
Yes, it was Vermont. Okay.
Oh, nice big state then. Okay.
Yes, so many people in it.
Yeah,
17
absolutely.
delegates, in fact.
Okay. Now, she claims she put a good fight. I couldn't disagree more.
She got 91 delegates.
91? That's not bad.
Out of what appears to be Donald Trump's amount, which he has 1,200.
I mean, close to 10%. 5, 8, 7, somewhere between 5 and 10%,
It's like going to put a down payment on a house with $100 bill, dude.
Well, anyway, she's dropped out of the race after the Super Tuesday route. She lost 14 Super Tuesday primaries to Trump.
Yes.
But she did not endorse Trump in her conceding speech and encouraged him instead to earn the support of Republicans who did not support him. Everyone else that pulled out supported him, but she didn't. Brave choice. I thought perhaps she might become his VP nominee, just for a laugh.
I don't think that they would dare.
No, I don't think they would, but if he's going to go for a female, I thought, there's a few options, not many.
True.
Could go with, is there a senator? I don't know.
Not really.
I want Kane.
Not a good one. Like, not one that's not already in Congress. You know what I mean?
I just want the big red monster.
Okay.
I want Kane in the VP office.
I mean, true.
Not
but
female, but
I feel like Knox County really does get something special with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but now America can have it too.
True.
So on Super Tuesday, I've got some of the results for you. Tennessee, 77.3% voted for Trump. Maine, 72.4% Trump. Utah, 58.2% Trump. Minnesota, 69.1% Trump. Nikki Haley, 49.9% in Vermont, as you correctly pointed out, beating Trump, who had 45.9%. Massachusetts, 59.9% for Trump, 63.1% for Trump in Virginia. North Carolina, 73.9% Trump. Alabama, 83.2% for Trump. Alaska, 87.6%. Okay, there are Texas, Arkansas, Colorado, California, and Oklahoma all voting for Trump by a margin greater than 76.9%, which was the lowest of the 5. He annihilated.
What I think is really fascinating is just how many people in California voted in the Republican primary for Donald Trump. The number is 1,836,516.
So what does that mean to somebody who's not knowledgeable on this?
That means that there is at least a sizable Republican contingent in California, but it gets drowned out by places like LA. It's just when you think about the fact that there are over 2 million ish.
There was a tweet from Mark Hamill. It showed that he wanted to get rid of the Electoral College, didn't he? And I'd retweeted that by laughing about it because I thought it was the dumbest thing he tweeted. But then when you look at the map, you'd see all the major cities that outvote the rest of the country. California, the majority of the state isn't blue. It's the same with Illinois. It is just the cities that do the damage, as it were. I'm trying to scroll through my tweets to find it so I could I would screen share. I don't know if I can. I haven't set it up. But I think if memory serves, there are some people who I follow. Don the Pleb, he's from California, and he pointed out to me that vast amount of the state is red. It just you never see it because of that. Okay, I can't find it on my timeline. Maybe Mark Hamill blocked me. You never know. Carry on.
I wouldn't be shocked. He sounds like somebody who would do something like that.
I'll have to cry about it later.
So then eventually Super Tuesday ends, and we have a very, very solid win by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Whoopee, everyone's happy. Well, most people are happy. And by most, I mean not the Democrats.
I have the image. I'll drag it onto the screen in a second for those who are interested. I'll give it to Trups as well so he can see it. Where have I saved it? There it is. That is a map of the US voting pattern for you Trups. I'll put an image on the screen for those who are interested in a moment. Let me go and get it. This shows you just how, here it is, how divided everything is. As you can see, if you go to the west, you'll notice California, and there isn't much that voted like Democrat. Gray areas, most people live in the red areas and the gray areas. Land doesn't vote. Abolish the Electoral College is the tweet. Where you see the larger areas where people live. If you look at the state for California, which is it's the big part on the it's the left. Actually, that's entire state. It is just it's a lot of the gray area does vote red. It's just they've used.
It's basically San Diego and the area surrounding LA, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, and you've got a bit of Sacramento and San Francisco near the top.
Yeah.
That's about it. Oh, Oakland's up there as well, actually, with San Fran. Oakland would be near there. I play American Truck. That's the only state I can vaguely tell you nearly everything about.
Let's see. I think Alameda County is also up there pretty pretty strong.
But yeah, if you look at the image, I'll scroll down a little bit as well just so you can see.
I have it up.
Oh, I mean for the stream. Because full screening it doesn't quite show everything. But I think if you're going to base it on population of where people live, all you're doing then is encouraging those areas to become mass overpopulated. And then you are disenfranchising the states that don't have these red dots on. And there are a few states here that qualify. You've got Wyoming. Not Wyoming. What's the square one above it? That is Wyoming. No, it's one? Colorado. Actually, is it Colorado?
Colorado.
Beneath Montana.
Right there.
The one beneath Montana.
Yeah, it's Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming. No. Sorry.
Am I insane?
No.
Sure it's Wyoming. Yeah, it's Wyoming.
Yeah, it's Wyoming. It's because below it is another square state, and I was like, hang on a second, which one?
Yeah.
Took me a second. I was getting a bit confused. Yeah, Wyoming and Montana doesn't have any representation. Nor is it Idaho next to Montana? Was that? Yeah.
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 On the left side, yeah.
Yeah. So Idaho's left out as well. A lot of Nevada's left out because of Vegas right at the bottom. You cannot misrepresent so many states so badly. You've got above Oklahoma, you've got states. I think Missouri's one of those, isn't it? Nebraska's up there as well.
No, that's Kansas, Nebraska.
Nebraska, sorry. Nebraska's got one little dot. Like, fam, these states are getting ignored. And that's not how this should go at all. That is not the Electoral College ensures that people vote and that their state is represented. But Mark Hamill retweeted that as well by referencing popularity should be how it's won. It's like, no, fam, you almost got ratioed on that shit.
Oh, he got ratioed on a couple of things that he said, especially the Laken Riley one. But no, he needs to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to get his sippy cup, fill it with some tea, and calm the fuck down, because all that he is doing is making an ass out of himself.
Well, I'm impressed that he's still on Twitter, considering how much he moans about it. Consider how many people have gone to Threads instead to moan about Twitter.
Well, that's just common at this point.
I
People bitch and moan.
I go to Threads to look at musicians because a lot of them post some really good stuff over there, and I find that stuff fascinating. Naturally, I mean, everyone. I play guitar, of course I do. But I don't go there or to Twitter to look for a fight. Although I will admit, recently I have started taking a thorough pleasure in video form at taking a very open crap on someone, especially if I used to like them, because there are a few creators that just, I don't know what's happened, they've just fallen right off, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take a shit on you and you're going to love it.
Mm-hmm.
Like other commentary channels that have aligned with people I just think are moronic.
Look, there is nothing that has ever been more apparent as my time on the internet. It's that commentary channels, by and large, remain majorly consistent until there's like one thing.
I haven't hit that yet, have I?
I don't know. I have to go through a lot of content of yours if I'm going to find that.
I would say that whereas in the past I took more of a middle road position on things, I didn't want to get too involved. Now I'm quite happy to say I don't think kids should be given HRT. And
that's
I never used to say it, but I will now happily say it. I am happy to call people out for being moronic if I think they're being. I've been saying it in videos quite recently, quite openly. I do believe I did vote Brexit, and I don't regret it. Things and people don't like that. There's some that actually don't like people saying that now. I'm quite happy. I supported Gamergate at the beginning, and I support it now because I will always support it. There's nothing wrong with advocating for men's rights, and there's no such thing as equality. Don't try me.
Oh, look at you! You almost sound like one of them right-wing motherfuckers.
Do I need to add a little American hyuk in there or something?
Well, all I know is that I'll have to like rent a truck for you or something.
Oh well, yeah, give me a Chevy.
Burn 1500. Get you in truck month.
Let's go drag racing.
I did go shooting this morning, so I guess that's very American.
Let's go drink some moonshine.
Dude, moonshine will knock you on your ass.
Fam, I've had some of that what's it called, the old smoky stuff. Up to the 65% one.
Mm-hmm.
I've had
that's
one.
That's the bought and sold moonshine. You need to travel out to Appalachian states,
out to the sticks, the inbred counties. Yeah, the thing is, the 65
no, the mountains, dude.
Fam, the 65% one was still like 130 proof, was still a kick in the teeth. I've had white rum that was stronger, that was nowhere near as brutal in flavour. Okay.
My brother went to a school in Connecticut, and he came home from college once, and he brought a mason jar filled with cherry moonshine. And it was a particularly cold day. My dad, my brother, and I were outside smoking cigars.
Yeah.
And my brother looks at me, who's cold. He goes, "Oh, you're cold? Here." Pours it into a cap. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe like a Snapple cap, right? Like that size. And he goes, "Drink that."
Oh no.
My God. I felt it going down my body, all the way down to my feet. And he goes, "Yeah." I started hacking and coughing. And he's like, "Yep, that's real shit." And I'm like, what is this? He goes, grain alcohol.
I've had some grain alcohol. That stuff is like 100% half the time. It's 95%. Nah, can't be doing that. I will say, just someone did send me off my wish list a bottle of Firefly moonshine. It was just a nice apple pie one. It sits in my bar. It's delicious. I mean, I know there are really brutal
Apple
ones that aren't.
good.
It is. And the Firefly one is good because I want to watch Firefly while drinking it, which was also sent to me on my wish list. And I'm like, yes. Back to the video, the topic.
Sorry,
so,
yeah.
No. It's quite all right. We derailed ourselves, and I'm quite happy to do it. And others can, feel it in your soul. Yeah, I've
feeling my soul and the afterlife.
I've had some alcohols or whiskies that are high enough ABV that I felt it, and it was a very small amount. I'll finish on this one next before we move on. Back in January, I went to the whiskey shop with my friend Dave, and Trups has seen the picture on Facebook. He knows exactly what happened.
A lot was purchased.
We don't talk about that.
He needs a wagon.
Dave had to bring some of it down in his car because I couldn't be trusted to carry it but it was just too much. Anyway, one of the bottles I bought though, I got to try a little bit of. I didn't open my bottle though. It was 64.2%. I hadn't eaten breakfast, and it was the very first thing I tasted. The moment I had it, I felt it instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 6-7 other samples all in the 60s, and I was like, Dave, we need to go to Nando's. I had a Nando's order that was my
food.
I needed to eat enough food for my entire day to soak that. It was not even the equivalent amount would have been about maybe a double, but spread over 7 different samples, and it was just nuts how quick that hits you, and you feel it all over. Anyway, back to this. What were we talking about before this? Oh, we're talking about the voter representation, but that doesn't matter. So, Nikki Haley's pulled out. Donald Trump has secured the nominee.
Correct.
Which is why the title says nominees instead of nominee, because we're going back an extra week.
Right. Sorry.
What did Trump say when he secured the nominee, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't. Oh.
I don't either.
Know.
That's why I was hoping you would know, because I have no idea.
I mean, besides the fact that he basically, commented that Nikki Haley made comments again as if she, won.
Yeah, she's not very, graceful in defeat.
No, and Trump really isn't all that graceful in accepting victory either.
No, he's not.
That being said, he doesn't really have to be. It's not really his job to be. And genuinely, I don't really care to he can do whatever the fuck he wants. I don't quite remember what he said after clinching it, because technically they haven't had the RNC convention yet. So the official time in which he gets the the full nomination. But what's interesting that was kind of a consequence of that is you had a whole bunch of Republicans who had previously tried to avoid endorsing him, like Mitch McConnell, who had to come out after he won Super Tuesday and basically had to say, yes, I endorse Trump, which had to be a kick in the teeth, because Mitch McConnell has been nothing if not an absolute fucking, flip-flop, and we'll call it shaky to say the least.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what he had to say, because most of the time when I listen to the radio, I listen to MSNBC because I need to know what the crazies are talking about.
Understandably so.
So most of the time, what I hear after Trump gets a victory is a whole lot of whinging, and it's great. I love that. Because I'm a sick son of a bitch.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But yeah, so he clinches the nomination, which again pisses a whole bunch of people off.
He does have a talent for doing that, and I think, to be honest, I will stand by my belief that for as long as he pisses everyone off, I'm okay with it. Because I want someone there to... we have it with people on all political sides anyway, but his is different because even though he's been president, he's still not a politician. He's never behaved like one. Although he has done better than some. He just doesn't have that he has a ruthlessness that comes from being a businessman. He doesn't have that same interpersonal kindness Blair, politician
Sure.
Blair. And so it's more refreshing to see. And I know it's not great for politics to have someone like him there, but again, he has to be there for as long as people need to get through their heads that this is how embarrassing your system is.
Mm-hmm.
Not that mine's any better, just to be clear.
Well, that's, obviously.
Yeah. I have to say that because somebody might not get it.
No, it is very true that we have a certain kind of interesting system going on. We've got a whole lot of, I guess, well, I actually don't even know where I'm going with this. Never mind. We're going to ignore that. We're just going to move on because my brain just completely stopped.
Mine does that a lot.
I hate it. It makes me feel stupid. Anyway, but let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Okay. So after that, we had the State of the Union.
Ah, thank God.
This is okay. Firstly, unlike previous ones where you and I have sat here and gone through it, we didn't with this one, did we? We didn't go through any of it.
No.
There was barely any coverage on this beyond, in my country, negativity towards your president.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't exactly well thought of, regarded, and it just made him look even weaker than he already is.
Yeah, fair point.
So, what did you think of his State of the Union performance?
So the very first thing that I heard of the State of the Union was a certain quote of his, in which you can see in the background, Speaker Mike Johnson shaking his head, and it went something along the lines of, "Well, it's good for me and it's good for him, and then I'll be a winner." I mean, come on.
Cringe.
I'm like, what? And the whole time, I don't even remember what the fuck he was talking about or what he was referring to. All I know is that he started rambling. Mike Johnson is sitting behind him shaking his head. Nobody in the audience is understanding what he's saying, but then suddenly applause.
Is Mike Johnson the speaker?
Yes.
Okay. I had to be reminded of that because I actually didn't remember the guy's name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite bad with names, in case anyone didn't know this already. I didn't remember that. So, I've got an article from The Telegraph simply saying it is not the president's place to make rhetorical appeals over the heads of Congress.
Mm-hmm.
His State of the Union and the quarrelsome hyper-partisan exchanges it generated tell us that the practice, abolished by Thomas Jefferson but restored by Woodrow Wilson, of having the State of the Union address delivered as a speech to Congress rather than a written message, should be abolished. What do you think about that?
Why, though?
I don't agree it should be abolished in the slightest, because I think it's an extension of the pantomime of your show.
I mean, yeah, it's the extension of the pantomime, but it's also like...
It's a version of the Queen's speech, or the King's speech. That's all it is.
Right.
And I think it's a fundamental part of a process to say what you intend to do, what you have done. We have here, as a political scientist Jeffrey Tullis observes in his classic study, The Rhetorical Presidency, the founders did not intend the president's role in our constitutional system to be that of making rhetorical appeals to the people over the heads of Congress, but rather to be one of joint deliberation with Congress. Exception being crisis like a civil war in which the president needed to rally support for the war. Jefferson cancelled the practice of appearing in person to deliver the report of the State of the Union because it seemed to him to be a monarchical practice, violating the principle of legislative supremacy. I disagree with this as well. He can't. Yes, not that he cancelled it. More that this is what the validation should be to continue to maybe cancel it again. I think it's just another reason to say, right, this is less pressure on Biden for the next 4 years. Like, bitch, no, he needs to be up front and center. We need to be able to see him the whole time. What do you think?
I think that in our modern age, it needs to be done that way. I can understand why in the past, when we didn't have widespread ability to address the nation, right? I could understand why a written address would be easier. It would be easier to reproduce. It would be easier to then print and then, populate to other people so that other people could read it. Because of course, in Jefferson's time, the best thing that they could do was, print it and, put it out into, a newspaper format for people to understand. Then again, it really only mattered to those individuals who were in Congress.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot different. The issues that they were facing were very different than the ones we're facing today. With an ever expanding federal government, with with politics being partially theater.
Well, it always is, isn't it?
Sure. Like these situations, these issues that we have, they kind of need to be in the forefront and need to be played out in front of the people.
Yeah, it's just a shame that with a show like that, it's all done by bad faith actors as opposed to good actors. So perhaps some of the key points of this State of the Union would be handy, yeah? For example, the US are to build temporary piers in Gaza so that they can deliver or airdrop 36,000 meals to hundreds of thousands of starving people.
Okay.
The math there doesn't...
I saw that.
So they want to continue doing that, and a temporary pier being built is something they want to do because Biden has unwaveringly supported Israel, and that's rubbed people up the wrong way. He has pledged additional support to Ukraine. He urged Congress to unblock aid to Ukraine to help the country fend off Russia's invasion. Republican legislators have raised opposition to the high price tag to continue the US funding of Kyiv. Quote from Biden, "My message to Putin, who I've known a long time, is simple. We will not walk away. We will not bow down. I will not bow down." It's only because his back won't let him. He also hit out at Trump for saying he would tell Russia to do what the hell they want to a NATO country it does not spend enough on defense, by saying a former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. It's not entirely what he did.
They missed the point of what he said.
Yeah, they did. Contrast with Republican rival. That's another point apparently here. You've got a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol in an attempt to stop Congress. During the State of the Union, Biden took multiple jabs at Trump, basically, by referencing the truth a lot and loving your country, burying the truth, other such remarks. Cringe. Abortion reproductive rights got mentioned as well. Biden has promised to defend access to this nationwide. Good luck with that, because it's not a federal thing. So that's not possible. The last point he really focused on was the economy. He has said he has created 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, which isn't true. A lot of those were jobs that are reobtained after COVID. I'm a capitalist. I want to make you want to make million or millions of bucks. That's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes. A fair tax code is how we invest to make this country great. So I believe federal taxes are one rate. Then states have their own rates, don't they? Is that not how it's done over there?
I'm sorry. I was reading up on the job claim.
Right.
Say that one more time.
Right. Federal taxes have a rate, and then each state has their own rate of tax as well. Yes. Yeah. So how can he say a fair share in tax when he takes a cut anyway? And then the state takes some states take a lot, other states don't take as much, if any at all.
So the argument that people make when it comes to the fair share of tax things is something that I think I've mentioned it here before, but basically the whole thing is a fucking lie. Shock. But the whole thing is a fucking lie because their argument of millionaires, billionaires, corporations all need to pay their fair share in taxes. They only mean federal taxes because that's all what he cares about, which is fine. That federal tax deduction that comes from them operating a business or them just playing ball the way that they normally do, all of this basically is that the tax code exists in such a way that those companies, those millionaires, those billionaires get to exempt most of their federal taxes by doing the very thing that they are trying to complain that they do. I know that sounds wonky, but basically, hi, I make money. I do all these things. I bring in all this revenue. And then they say, yeah, but you haven't paid your fair share of taxes. And they go, well, that's fine. I'll donate to political campaigns and I'll also donate to charity. And then I won't have to pay taxes. Is that okay, federal government? Federal government says, yes, okay. That sounds great. Especially if you donate to my political campaign. And then suddenly you look at companies like Amazon and Google who like seemingly, quote unquote, seemingly don't pay federal taxes.
So,
and everyone's shocked.
Brian in the chat mentioned 50% of the highest. What was it? 1% accounts for more than 50% of all taxes collected. In the UK, 10% of the income taxpayers with the largest incomes contribute over 60% of income tax receipts. And yet we have governments constantly saying in this, like once the ones that want to be, oh, we'll do a windfall tax on oil and gas. Oh, we'll tax the rich even more. And I'm like, bitch, they account for 60% of it already. You just want to collect even more. That's all you want to do. They're not cheating you. You're just being selfish.
What it comes down to...
In some countries, the tax rate, for example, in France, for higher earners is 75% of your earnings. In Italy, it's a flat 65%. At that point, what's the bloody point in going to work?
No, it's not. And that's why you have people like in fucking Spain who just don't.
Right, you have no reason to go to work if you are not being incentivized to do so. And that to me, I mean, I want to work to earn money for me. I do not want to go to work so everyone else benefits from my money. I'm not doing this, and that's why I hate council tax in this country. Council tax in the boroughs, like think of it like each individual region of a state, yeah. So in my county of Kent, there are boroughs. So like in your state, all those different regions, whatever you call them, and those councils collect a tax called council tax. It's a flat rate, but based on zones. So if there's more densely populated, they pay a little bit more than more rural regions, right? Unless it's space related, in which case the tax is different. Or multiple properties, it's different as well. I don't agree with it because I looked at where that money goes. Emergency services, totally fine with that because we need them. And then I see one that says education, and I'm like, hang on, but I don't have kids. What am I paying for education for? I don't have. I take issue with it because, first of all, we claim education's free. That's a lie. Second, it's a vital service. I agree, for parents. So I don't like that I have to pay into that. But there are other things as well, and I can't remember them now. But
I don't like necessarily going with the education thing. I think education in public is fine, like the education sector.
Oh, I'd agree.
I don't mind.
We have so many different types of taxes in our country. I take issue when they're broken down and realize I'm paying for things that I don't even use. Well, that's just me being a bit like I just don't care, you know.
This country has something similar, and actually, it's a hot button issue because it's brought up every fucking election, and that is the argument of Social Security and Medicare.
The Obamacare or Medicare?
No, Medicare and Medicaid. So this is like, I believe it was like 1960s, 1950s. where they established basically a system in which people would be able to eventually retire with like a certain kind of security. That was what Social Security was. It was basically you pay a certain amount of taxes that's withheld from your check, and basically it goes into a pool.
Yeah.
And then once you reach retirement age, based on the amount that you made, you pull a percentage down, and that pool basically gets pulled out by all the people who are involved in things.
Yeah.
So some people have argued that it's like a pyramid scheme because only the people at the top, the people who are retired, get any kind of the money. Meanwhile, everybody underneath them has to keep paying into it. And the only people who actually get to reap the rewards are the people who are currently retiring, which is about to be a metric fuck ton of people.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of people who are my age basically look at Social Security and Medicare as, well, maybe not Medicare, but Social Security in particular, basically say, wow, that sounds like shit. I think that y'all should basically fuck right off, because I ain't never going to see that in my lifetime. Most people aren't going to see that in their lifetime. Most of the people my age don't expect Social Security to exist. They call it insolvent. It's not able to be built up because we don't have people making enough money to fill the void of where the boomers are going to be retiring to.
So there's that, and actually, MJ, you make a point there of, I'm for taxes to help bolster services, roads, education. I'd like to see it work. That's another very important point, because as those taxes go up and that money's supposed to go into those systems, can it be argued that the services have improved or are at least maintained at the level we had them at, which it shouldn't be, because education quality should be improving, as should be the emergency services. As time goes, humanity gets smarter, the systems have to improve to account for that. And I, as an outsider to the education thing, the answer is no. And I say that because we still don't have help for those who are handicapped, whether that be greater help aid for those who are diagnosed with things like autism. You don't have greater services in education when you're teaching children phonics, which is, I'm just going to say, phonics is the single greatest way of stunting a child's education.
I can't begin to tell you how many people just can't read right now.
Right. It's learning to read and then sounding out every letter. Phonics is sounding that out, and I just find that frustrating because so many words don't sound how they are spelt, so the sounding out does not help you say the word. I challenged my niece, right, to sound out the word receipt.
That's not fair.
I asked her.
You're right.
I asked her to do the word subtle, and then I asked her to do a few other words, and I was like, I did words that sounded the same but spelt differently, and I was like, no, you're wrong. I went with names like Stuart, you know.
Hold on, you want to see something even worse?
Sure, but I'm a dickhead, and I'm allowed to do this because I'm proving the point that phonics are redundant. I'm sorry, at my niece's age, she should be she's smart. Probably as smart as I was at her age, and she should be treated as such, not held back because of this nonsense of phonics. Like, oh, it's making them more vocal. Like, shut up! Children should be seen and not heard. What am I going to see here, Trups?
Oh, I'm typing it out so that you can so that it can be visualized by everyone in the chat. But yeah, it also is a issue with our language, I think.
Oh, by the way, I did put the WD-40 on the. Oh yeah, there it is.
So the word empty.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, take out the Y, and then you pronounce that word.
Yeah.
Empty.
Yeah.
And take out the E.
Yeah.
Empty. And then take out the P. It's empty.
Yeah. This is how you screw up an entire generation. Phonics is the single way. I mean, sorry, you're wasting so much. Whoever thought that was a good idea for the curriculum, you need to be taken outside and shot. I'm right. I'm sorry. At that age, I didn't learn phonics. I learned to read when I was like 3. I sat with my mother. I picked up a book. She taught me the alphabet, and I was off to the races. Okay, I never looked back. Honest to fucking God, I remember sitting with my mother in Crawley doing this. That's where I was born. It was just, these are things I remember. I know others struggle. I fully understand that. Phonics do not help. I've proven it. But yeah, the education thing, if you're going to improve the service at least, I get it. But if you're going to charge more for all these things and you're still not even paying the teachers more, fuck off with that. Miss me with that shit, okay? Schools are having to do fundraisers in their own way to try and raise money to do things, and they can't do it because of you guys. And parents can't help out either because their cost of living's gone up as well. You guys are dickheads. You're just trying to keep people... It just comes across as a very conspiratorial thought process of you're just trying to keep everyone down because if you keep them all down, then they're under your thumb. And I find that frustrating. I will never retire. MJ, nor will I, to be honest. I like working.
I won't be able to. I'm too young, and I don't believe that our system is going to work out in the end in my favor.
I just like working. I've never reached a point where I like to stop. Do you believe in more socialist tax brackets? I don't, but only because socialism never works.
I would prefer a flat tax.
I would too. I do not, and that's why your federal one is 30%, isn't it?
Depends what bracket you're in.
Ah, right, my mistake.
State and federal taxes in this country have a scaler, essentially. Depending on how much you make per year, you are basically placed into a bracket.
Okay, well...
And this changes if you're single or married.
Does change a lot of things, yes. Okay, well, I just realised the time traps.
Oh, yes, you're quite right.
So, are we here next week?
Checking the 22nd. I think so. I don't think I have anything on the list.
Sweet. I'm here too. We shall be back next week. This will be on Rumble and Spotify tomorrow. Thank you all for being here, guys. We really appreciate it. You want to say anything else before we finish?
I'm good.
All right. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.